Oh my gosh. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Stacey Renee, and today we're diving into one of the most viral sourdough recipes out there, the crescent sourdough loaf. Is it all it's cracked up to be? Or is it just another pretty loaf on your feet? That's what we're gonna find out today, and I'm gonna walk you through the entire process step by step. So whether you're brand new to sourdough or you've been baking for a while, you will be able to create this beautiful, crusty, golden loaf right now, right in your own kitchen. Let's do this. I've got my bowl here, and today I'm using the sourdough starter that I got from Rustic Roots. It's a freeze-dried San Francisco style starter that I purchased, and while my usual starter was great, I wanted to try this one out, and honestly, I was blown away. It activated so quickly that I was baking bread after just 2 days. So that's the starter that I'm using today. If you're interested, I will link it below because it really does make amazing bread. So this recipe makes 2 loaves. If you are only making one, just cut everything in half. I'm going to start by measuring 200 grams of bubbly active starter with 646 grams of water. And I accidentally got a little too much, so no harm, no foul. Just pull that out. Then we're going to whisk this together really, really well until it's nice and frothy. Then we're going to add 1,000 grams of flour. This is where I used to go wrong. I don't think that I was mixing everything as well as I wanted to. This part takes time, and I want to show you how long it actually takes, because in a lot of videos, that's the part that gets cut down, and you think it's only 20 seconds, but working the dough is a crucial part of sourdough baking. You need to become familiar with how the dough should look and feel, and that's the heart of becoming a great sourdough baker, and it takes time, so don't rush it. I use both my hands and the spatula to press the dough down and make sure everything is really, really well incorporated. So once it's fully mixed, cover the bowl, let it rest for 1 hour, and then after that, we'll come back and add our salt. It's been an hour. Now it's time to mix in the salt thoroughly. And I'm going to use my hands for this as well. And we're adding in 20 grams of salt. And now you're going to see that I'm going to squeeze and twist and stretch the dough a bit. And it's going to feel a little sticky, but that's normal. You can even get it a few good punches to help really get that salt in there. This should take you a couple minutes. It's not just a one and done kind of thing. You really want to make sure that it's getting incorporated all throughout the dough. Then I'll do a light stretch and fold just to bring the dough back together before we let it rest again. It's still pretty tight right now. There's not a ton of elasticity yet, but that's totally fine. That's where you want it to be. I like to make sure it's not sticking to the sides. I don't know if that's my OCD or but I always try to get it from sticking to the sides. Now it's time to cover it up again and let it sit for another 30 minutes to an hour. Doesn't have to be exact. This stage is pretty forgiving. So it's been an hour, and we're going to come in for our first set of stretch and folds. And I'm going to take you through the entire process in real time. I'm not going to do any cuts here so that you can see exactly how long I spend on it. I tuck the dough as I fold to keep it from spreading out too much, and then I'm gonna pick it up, flip it over, and start forming it into a ball to build even more tension on the surface. But we do quite a few stretch and folds here, so I know when I first started, I would just do like 4 stretch and folds and be done. But I've learned over time that it takes a little bit more than that. So here's where I'm forming it into the ball. And then I'm going to cover this up again, and I'm going to let it rest for another 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, so we did our first set of stretch and folds without the butter, and now it is time to grate the butter. You can use cold butter, but if your house is on the warmer side, frozen butter will work even better. It's just going to help keep the dough cooler during the bulk fermentation. I grate a half a stick at a time. Grating a whole stick at once makes it harder to incorporate evenly. So after I add that first stick, I'll do about 3 to 5 stretch and folds, and then I'll grate and add the second half of the butter, repeating the same folding process. So this recipe uses 2 full sticks of butter, so we're going to repeat the process again with the second stick later on. And at this stage, you'll notice that the dough starts to tighten up, so you won't be able to stretch it as far. Use your fist to really work that butter in. Side note, I definitely need to switch to a smaller size glove. It's really bothering me. Now, after I've added that first stick of butter, I like to pick the whole dough ball up and do a light slap and fold to help get that butter fully incorporated and to keep it from seeping out of the bottom. Okay, next I'm gonna check the temperature. Ideally, you want the dough to stay under 75 degrees during bulk fermentation. Around 70 to 73 is perfect though. So now we're ready for the second stick of butter, but just like before, I want you to only grate what you're using, because if you grate both sticks at once, it will melt. You want it to be pretty cold when you're putting it in your dough. So again, we're going in at half a stick at a time. At this point, there's a whole lot of butter in here. I mean, it's really only a stick of loaf if you think about it, but you are incorporating a lot of butter into the dough. So you can see that I just grated this butter and it's already getting melty on the plate. Okay, so we're gonna pick that up again and we're gonna kind of tuck in all the sides. Actually, no, we're gonna do a couple more slap and folds. And then we're just really gonna kind of tuck those sides in so that, again, that butter doesn't seep out the bottom. I've seen a lot of videos where people are pulling up their loaves and it's literally dripping with butter. And I do feel like this is maybe a step that helps that really get that butter inside. And then if there's any openings, because sometimes you'll get little holes and the butter will peek out, I just pinch them together. We're gonna check the temperature one more time after about 30 minutes and just make sure we're in that good zone. And then it's time to let it bulk ferment until it gets big and bubbly. And it's got that, it's not too sticky. It's pulling away from the sides of the bowl. Looks pretty good. Now, my favorite part about this recipe is we don't have to shape it right now. We're gonna shape it just before we bake it. So it's just going in the fridge overnight. I'm going to bed and we'll finish the rest in the morning. Good morning. Wow, that was a quick sleep. Setting our oven to 450 and getting out that dough out of the refrigerator. It's looking good. Pulling away really nicely from the sides. That doesn't always happen, so if yours doesn't, don't freak out. Amazing. Ooh, look at the bubbles. So we're just going to cut it in half for our 2 loaves. And then here I'm just going to pull it apart. I'm just going to kind of stretch it out, and then I'm going to fold it up, and then I'm going to roll it, keeping a lot of tension as I'm rolling. Kind of tucking in the sides a little bit, making sure it's real tight. Now, we're not going to work this dough like we would a normal loaf because the butter will start to come out and it'll get really messy. So we're just going to do one tight roll and then add a little bit of tension like that. Then we're going to grease our loaf pan. And we're going to do the same thing for the second loaf. And then this is the easiest way with the butter is just to do some cuts in the top. I think if you do a long slit down the middle, that's when all the butter kind of comes out. What I do for this is I put this pan here and I'm going to let that heat up for a minute, and then I'm going to put ice on it for the steam. Since we're not using our Dutch oven today, we're using the loaf pans. We're gonna cook at 450 for 30 minutes covered and then 15 minutes uncovered. Then we're gonna take it out and we are gonna check the temperature to make sure that it's, you know, it's above 190, 195, somewhere in that area. It's gonna continue to cook a little bit after you take it out, but that's just to make sure that it's done inside. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. If you want to be the favorite kid this year, you will bake your mother a beautiful loaf of crescent sourdough, and you'll get her the Rooted Prayer Journal as well. I hope this video brought you value, but more than anything, I hope it brought you a really nice crusty golden loaf of crescent roll sourdough. So hopefully you'll be able to wow your friends and your family and your neighbors with this loaf. Comment below. I want to know how it turns out. Also, if this brought you value, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I've linked everything we talked about today down below, including this apron if you're interested. The sourdough starters there, and a few more goodies for you. Take care, have an awesome day, and happy baking.